What I'm doing here is restoring a 1965 GTO. Now this is a convertible, it's pretty obvious, but you can see where I replaced this quarter panel over here on this side, and I also had to do some major extensive work on replacing the floor extension that you see right there. Now we're not done with that yet because we got to get the bottom of the car sandblasted once I get all the rust repair done. But we ran into a situation over here on the other side of the vehicle where it's going to require some rust removal. Now when I say rust removal, we're not talking about this. This is where I used vinegar water and muriatic acid, and once I take my D.I.Y sander to it, that'll clean up, it'll look awesome, and it'll be ready for a primer. What I am talking about though is this right here. Now the problem we have with this is you can see where I used my grinder, and then of course this was rotted out. I'm going to replace this section. I'm going to tell you why I'm only replacing this section and not the whole thing. And most of it is due to these aftermarket manufactured parts that you buy that they don't fit right. It's very extensive to use them. It takes a long time to fit them in there, and the cost to replace this thing is atrocious versus replacing just the part that you need to replace. Now we are going to replace this bottom section of this quarter panel that you see right here, but I wanted to save the customer money and time and expense and only replace this section here, and you can see how it's going to fit in here. When I get it all in there, it'll fit just like that, versus replacing the whole thing, which takes about a day and a half. Another reason that we're only going to replace that little section is because this panel is actually up inside here, and it welds to the floor in here, and since we're not going to replace any more of the quarter panel than we have to, it would be a real pain to get up in here and to replace that whole section, which would actually add up more hours of labor to the job. So what we got is we got a company that sent me a box, and here's the box right here, and I just opened the box. I haven't even used this stuff yet, but it's called FERTAN Rust Remover, Rust Converter. We got a can here that says heat resistant. Okay, this must be a spray that you spray on when you weld, or maybe it's just heat resistant paint. I'm not too sure because, and I'm not trying to be a dumbass or anything. That's why I got it focused in real close to this product here. Is that the directions on this stuff are actually in German or French or wherever this company is from, but I will tell you it's called FERTAN. And what they sell here is they sell products that remove rust and convert rust. Now this is a liquefied rust remover where you would dip your parts into it, and other companies make this stuff, but these guys really seem to be more professional in this area than some, because I have used other products and people have sent me other products, rust converter and rust remover products, and they have these big box, big time TV stars advertising their stuff. And in my opinion, when you see reality TV stars and movie stars advertising a product, to me, that's telling me, all right, and it should be telling you the same thing, that the product is bullshit, that they're paying a lot of money for advertisement so they can sell their product real quick, get it out on the market, and be done with it.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
going to do is I am going to try this out and actually see how it works. So before I grind any more rust off of our 65 GTO, I'm going to go ahead and take some of this rust remover gel that you see right here. And other companies make this product, such as Naval Jelly. I believe they're the first and original, but this company here says that their product works better and that this is the best rust remover on the market today. So naturally, with any chemical that you use that's going to touch your skin, you should always wear rubber gloves. And that is not a thought that should not pass your mind. That's a necessity, and it is a mandatory situation. Chemicals will pass through your skin into your bloodstream. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the lid, and then I'm going to pour some inside this plastic cup here, and we don't want to waste it. And then what I'll do is I'll take my throwaway brush, and then we're going to go over to the car and see how this stuff works. So what we'll do is we'll take our rust remover gel, and then we're going to go ahead and brush it on, not wanting to splash it, but we want to make sure that everywhere that we're working with and that we want it to be treated, we will be covering it. One more thing you want to be careful of is try not to get this on your clothes. Once again, we're going to talk about chemicals, and then to be really, really safe, make sure you're wearing a pair of these. So real quick, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it's only been on here for a few seconds, and it's already starting to turn the rust black. And that's what most of these chemicals do. They'll turn the rust black and work that way. Let me get some right here. It's pretty crusty in this area here. And we're probably not going to see any results tonight. I'm going to let this sit on here overnight and see what happens tomorrow morning. So let me go ahead and close the shop down tonight, and then we're going to come back tomorrow morning and see how our rust gel did, and hopefully it did us a square deal here. I'm going to go ahead and get a couple other areas that I noticed had rust on them out of the camera's eye view. I'm really concerned about this part right here, not that it is rotted, but that I want to see if it can actually take the rust off and get rid of it. Alright, it has been overnight. Get that light right there, see if we can get some light on it. There we go. Okay. So we've had this on here overnight, and before I do anything, I'm going to take a scraper blade, and I'm going to scrape that off and look what's going on here. Now remember, it was very, very heavy in this area right here, so let's go ahead and get some light on that and scrape that off. And I can kind of see where it's eating the rust away, and it looks like it's doing a pretty good job. Let me get some steel wool and steel wool it down and see what happens doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and take my steel wool and try to get that off. And once again, I'm using my rubber gloves, being safe. And this is where I hit it with the grinder, remember? So where I hit it with the grinder, seems like it ate the rust a lot better. And then of course this area right here was really flaked out. Let's go ahead and see what happened here. Not much. I really don't think that the gel is a good substance to use on heavy rust. I think gel would be for more like, yeah, you get the idea. I really don't see any difference in that right there. But if we come over here, I can see a small difference, but not much. Let me clean that off, wash it off with some water, and see what we got. So I'm just going to go ahead and take some water, just some clean water and some steel wool, and then we're going to see if we can get this stuff off of here. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of navel jelly or rust jelly, whatever you want to call it. I think it makes more of a mess than anything else. And I really don't see any action going on here except a mess. And this is what you run into when you come across these type of chemicals. I can see where it cleaned the rust up right here, where I already grinded it before I applied it. But as far as putting it directly on rust itself, it's basically like the rest of the chemicals. You really got to treat it first and prep it before you treat it, should I say. You can see right here on the edge where it really cleaned the metal up though. But we're not worried about the outside because we're going to D.I.Y sand that. I was more worried about all this flaky rust in here and all this other stuff more than I was anything else. So my conclusion on the navel jelly, the FERTAN navel jelly, if you prep your metal up first by grinding it down and getting rid of all the flaky and heavy rust, it looks like the FERTAN navel jelly brand substance actually cleans the metal off. You can see it looks pretty clean compared to this in here. But once again, this is not a miracle chemical. This is a chemical that still takes elbow grease and work to make it go the way that you want it to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish out this repair. I'm going to grind this down with 36 grit using my 2-inch Roll-O-Lock disc, and we're also going to make sure that we got our safety glasses on, and then we're going to. Now I do notice, if you notice, after I grind it down, it really looks nice. Well, I gotta say, I'm really shocked. It actually came out really nice after cleaning it up with our Roll-O-Lock disc, and you can see that it pretty much removed all the rust. I got to still clean up in here. I'm going to use a wire brush for that, but other than that, I mean, wow, what a difference it made. Even before I put it on and I used my grinder on it, after that, it still looks a lot better from just using the 36 grit grinder. It did remove a lot of rust. It penetrated into it. I could probably go ahead and apply more if need be, but I don't think that I'll have to. I think that really came out nice and clean. So I guess I can go ahead and proceed to do my repair, my patch panel repair, which you see right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, am I happy with this? Yes, I am happy with this product. I think the product did a very, very well job. Once again, I had to let it sit overnight, but you see the results just like I see them. And I mean, it's almost near new mint condition if you put it up next to the brand new panel here. I think that it's going to work out awesome, and once we get done replacing this panel right here, we're going to go ahead and clean everything up, replace it. We're going to come back and apply our rust converter and see how good that works. Well, we went ahead and used the rust remover gel, and it worked out very well. I'm really, really pleased with it. I've used navel jelly before of this type, other products, and I will say that this product here, the rust removal gel, is the best product that I've used for this kind of content. Once again, this is called FERTAN. It's a German product, and here's your part number right here. You can go ahead and check that out. And this is actually a very good product for removing rust. We're going to take another look at that in a minute. Now, what you're looking at here, this is the quarter panel section that I'm going to replace on that vehicle that we're working on. And you can see it's not a big piece. When you replace panels on vehicles, you want to use the least panel that you can use. That means you want to contain the repair as small as possible and keep all the original bodywork that you can. But, or should I say body panel. But as you can see, this thing's in bare metal. So usually what I'll do is I'll use a rust inhibitor type primer, which means that it doesn't attract rust. But what we're going to do on this vehicle, we're going to go ahead and use this epoxy primer, which is basically a rust inhibitor primer, which keeps rust from gathering on that, because we don't need to paint the inside of this. This is the inside, and on this particular panel, it comes in bare metal. It doesn't come painted. So we're going to use the FERTAN epoxy primer on that, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and shake that up. And anytime that you use spray paint, you should always shake it vigorously, very, very good before using it. Don't just shake it once or twice and say it's ready. You should always make sure that everything in that can is mixed up properly. The thing that I don't like about spray can primer, I'm going to tell you right now, is it's not two-part spray epoxy primer. This is a single type primer, and more than anything, and I don't know for sure, I'm just talking out here, it's a lacquer-based epoxy primer. Epoxy primer, to really be 100% accurate, should be a two-part primer, meaning you have to add a hardener. But this is their, what can we say, their product that they sell. And once again, all right, okay, this is in American here. It says 1-part type primer, which is abrasion and oil resistant. It is ideal for keeping metal corrosion free. FERTAN epoxy primer spray is lead and chromate free due to its excellent adhesion characteristics. The product is very well suited for chassis, wheel wells, bodywork, floorboards, bare metal, frame, and box sections. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read that print right there, so give me a break. So we're going to go ahead and use that on this, but before we do that, we want to make sure that our metal is prepped properly, and to prep that properly is going to require a piece of sandpaper. So I'm going to go ahead and use a piece of 80 grit, and we're going to go ahead and scuff that down, being very careful with all the sharp edges. Because I don't care how good the product is not good enough until the surface is prepped properly. That is where the product works well, is when you prep everything for the product to work. So now we have prepped our surface. Let's go ahead and put a coat of FERTAN epoxy primer on that and see what happens. I like the way it sprays. It looks like it's a one-coat spray action. Covers very well. The odor is not thick, but I would still recommend that you do this in a ventilated area. So now the inside of our panel has been prepped with the FERTAN epoxy primer spray, and my opinion in that, it goes on very well. You can see how thick it went on just by the glisten. It orange peeled very nicely, and a good sealer epoxy primer out of the can, that's what it should do. It should go on very thick and give that orange peel look, letting you know that it is gripping and sealing properly. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our FERTAN Rust Converter, and the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go ahead and once again I'm going to use a throwaway brush. I'm going to shake that up vigorously, and then we're going to pour some in here, not pouring too much in. We don't want to waste this stuff if it turns out to be really good. Let's go over and apply that to our bare metal and see what happens. So if you remember correctly, this is where we used our gel, our FERTAN gel, and as you can see, it really did a good job compared to what we started out with. This is where I replaced that section that was missing, and I've already prepped that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our FERTAN Rust Converter, and then we're going to go ahead and spray that right on top. I'm sorry, brush that right onto our bare metal. And I can see where it's getting into the grooves of it and hopefully killing that rust and converting it. I can see where it's turning darker down in this area here. It kind of has the smell of glue, some kind of glue. Glue from when I was a little kid. It has a smell of that style. It smells like some type of glue I used to use, or my dad used to use when I was a little kid. I'm going to get way up in here as well, as far as I can get. And then what we'll do is we'll let that dry, and then I will go ahead and apply a coat of that epoxy primer on here, and then I think we'll be done with it. I'm sure this is going to take several minutes to dry, so let that dry. We'll come back and see what we got. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes, and it seems like our rust inhibitor is pretty much dry to the touch. We're going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit because I have to get this job done. And what we're going to do to finish this off, we're going to go ahead and take our FERTAN epoxy primer spray, because I really like this stuff. There's the part number for that if you're interested in trying it out. And it actually really works very well. I'm really shocked. I've used other brands such as U-Pole, and there's also, I've used a couple other off brands, and it seems like this stuff really goes on nice and sprays well. So what we're going to do now that we've got our rust in here, you can see how it turns the rust black. This is not like Por 15. Permatex actually makes a chemical that is similar to this that you spray on instead of brush on, and it comes in a spray-on can that you can purchase at Napa Auto Parts that does exactly the same thing. And then there was another company that made some stuff just like this that was in a spray can, so I was wrong about that. This is not like Por 15. This is actually like the Permatex Rust Converter that you spray on. I think that they should actually make an aerosol can style that's already got it inside there that you can spray on instead of brush on, and they would probably sell that because it seems to work very well. we're going to go ahead and seal our panel up, the inside of it, using our epoxy primer. Because once we weld this up, you can't get up inside there. I mean, you can if you want. There's ways to do that, but I like to seal it nice and even, just like you're watching. So we now have used our gel. We removed all of the crusty rust. We went ahead and used our rust converter, and we have now went ahead and sealed it using our FERTAN epoxy primer, and I think it's going to work out nice. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete, ready to seal this baby up and put another 40 years life into it until it decides to start rusting out again. If you're interested in this product right here, FERTAN, go to my description below this video and follow the links that will take you to their product line and hopefully help you beat your rust problem and get her done and do it right. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete, doing a review on a product that seems to work out well. Now, we didn't use this product here, and I didn't try this product. This is a heat paint, I guess. Once again, I didn't really read any information on this. I just grabbed it, I'm doing it, and we used these two products. They seem to work awesome. I'm really shocked that the gel removed that rust, that real thick rust that we had. I'm really shocked at that. This here, the converter, seems like a nice product. If they made a spray can version of it, I think they would sell it more than a product that you have to brush on or use your spray gun with. I think that would be a plus for them. But as far as the product line goes, I think it's a good product. I think the product is well worth the money. And if you're looking for a product like this, try these guys and see what you think. Made in Germany. And yeah, that's about all I can say. My battery's running low and I got welding to do. I applied this epoxy primer about 20 minutes ago, and the temperature out here is about 45 degrees, so we still got to wait around for that to dry. But yeah, FERTAN, I don't even know, maybe it's FERTAN, whatever it is, try it out, check it out, go to the description below, follow the links, and give them a try. I think the product's nice. If they had a spray can version of this, I think it would be better. But brushing it on, I guess, is fine. And the rust removal gel really, really works well. And I'm probably going to keep that and use that until the bottle's empty. Take it easy. We'll see you later.
Thanks for watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.